Good morning, and welcome into the Rock Lacrosse Center for another episode of In the Crease podcast, here with head coach John Galloway. Coach, man, you guys can't escape this weather. Walk over here, it's a little bit rainy. You come back down from Navy where it was cold and rainy, and just, recap the weekend for me. You guys, hot start, kind of had the game in control, and then, good teams respond. So just talk me through that game a little bit.
Yeah, tell it two halves, and you watch the game, we mentioned to the team yesterday, the game comes in two files, and it felt like it was two different games, and, a lot to learn from. Anytime you play a top 20 team and you come out of halftime a little bit slower, then you have to expect that you're going to get punched in the mouth, and we certainly did that, and, there were some things that we can clean up. I thought watching the film, it gave us a lot of hope and encouragement that there's a lot of pieces of the puzzle that we have in place, and now we just have to learn how to compete for 60 minutes and to do it in inclement weather sometimes and be okay playing wherever we're asked. But it definitely motivated this group. I felt the most accountability from our group in our Zoom yesterday, and I felt like we had a really good practice this morning.
You score 6 goals from 6 different guys.
Yeah.
Feels encouraging to me.
Yeah.
Is that encouraging to you? You're able to spread it around like that?
Yeah, I think obviously the disappointment that we think we have some tools to be able to fill up the net, but I do like the way in which we scored. I think the pace of play in the first half is how we practice, is how we expect to create opportunities, especially against a defense like that. And I thought we learned from the game where our strengths are, maybe where we don't need to lean so much heavily on our 6-on-6, and give our guys the practice plan for the rest of the week to really build off of playing up and down and trying to create some more opportunities that way.
One of the toughest schedules in the country does not let up this weekend. Of course, you played North Carolina. Mercer's no slouch. Bellarmine's no slouch. Navy was ranked nationally. Utah is receiving votes in the national polls. It's a buzzsaw for you guys, but so far, you seem to be heading well. You have a plan for it. We've talked about it a little bit in the past, but just talk through how this schedule is playing out for you. How you intentionally sort of sought out a difficult schedule like this, but how have you felt like the guys have handled it so far?
Yeah, you'd like to have won one of those top 20 games, no doubt, but I think we walked out of both of those games with a lot of lessons. And I think if you play those games and you walk away, discouraged with your performance, that's one thing. But if you walk away and not being able to learn anything from those games to build on, then it becomes a waste of your time. And I think that our group, especially this past weekend, walked off the field disappointed in the result, but more importantly, willing to learn from the result. And I think that hopefully we'll see the fruits of our labor this week, and ultimately it is to prepare you for the conference. But we have 2 games left right now in our out-of-conference slate before we start in the Southern Conference, and it's important that we put those lessons to use early on here in the game against Utah. And another really cool trip to go out to Park City and Salt Lake City and to play against a team that has a lot of talented players that beat us here on our home field, and I think has our group motivated to get on the plane and get out there.
Yeah, Utah, newer program, in their infancy sort of still, and sort of part of that West Coast expansion of the Division I game in men's lacrosse, future conference partner in Utah. Preview that matchup for us a little bit.
Yeah, I think anytime you get an opportunity to play a team in a Power 5 conference, the Pac-12 will provide them with a recruiting foundation that they can build off of. And they've done really well with the transfers. They've done really well in their initial recruiting classes. And at the end of the day, though, this is a game about us. I think we really acknowledge that after the film. I think when we worry too much about the opponent, and that's when we allow ourselves to get away from our script. And I like some of the pieces of our locker room, and I think we have to lean more into those guys and into our plan and to focus on us, and to remember that it's only going to be March 6th when we play this game, and it'll be our 5th game, and where is our growth after this game is going to be more important than the opponent as of right now.
You just mentioned it. You're about to get your 5th game in. There are a lot of programs who are waiting for their first one still. We've seen some of that with our other sports here at JU. Because we've been able to handle things relatively well from a COVID and a protocol standpoint, we're able to get on the field and play.
Yeah.
What have you seen from your team? You've got a little bit of a sample size now. What have you been able to see from your team that you really like, that you think you're doing well, and maybe something that you've sort of identified as the coach to let's go fix this?
Yeah. Number one is our athleticism. I think that when you saw in the first half, when we were able to run and open it up a little bit, I thought you saw a team that was ready to compete against the top 20 group. Defensively, I think while we're playing a lot of it, I've been really impressed with our growth there and really our competition. We've had 5 guys rotate through that position. I think only right now are we finding out what the right combinations are. And then our midfield, again, when you look at the depth of our midfield, we've never been able to go this far down the bench, and we really have 2 true midfield lines. We have guys subbing in on those midfield lines. We were without a few guys this past weekend, but hoping to get a few more back. And you think about the number of bodies that we're able to play. I love the fact that our depth has given us the chance to be really competitive at practice and have every day matter. Even at the attack, we rotated 6 guys in at the attack, and some may say that means you don't have a starting 3, but I do think every one of those guys gives you something else, and we're still a work in progress to figure out what that best combination is. But the more we get healthy, the more we can continue to utilize our depth. I think gives us a great opportunity.
When it gets to the point where you're starting to play some of these teams who haven't played as much, are you looking at the amount of games you've played as an advantage, a disadvantage, a wash? How are you looking at that?
Yeah, I think anytime you have film, your opponent has film. Now, against a team like Utah, we're evenly matched at 4 games apiece. And I think that our experience, our woes, our issues in the early season, we get to work out those kinks in games, and you can't imitate that in practice. And for us to be able to learn from those lessons on game day and then be able to apply in the next week, and to have the fortune to not have any pauses like we haven't had. Obviously, knock on wood that we're able to continue to play, but if you told me in the beginning of February we were going to go 4 for 4 in our ability to play games, I don't know if I would have been able to confidently say that was going to be the case. So I think we're thankful that we have these game day opportunities to learn these lessons.
Yep, and then of course, we won't look ahead to Duke. That's afterward, and finally getting to come back and play on our field. So we'll look forward to that when that time comes. Stepping back outside off the field a little bit, Dolphin Dash.
Yeah.
another ring for the finger.
That's right.
Anything you want to say to the supporters there?
Yeah, again, only week to be able to go 2-0, and unfortunately we split and went 1-1. But yeah, I mean, again, the Dolphin Dash for men's lacrosse has been more of a statement from our supporters, that from our families and the people that take the time out of their day to give back to our guys. Unbelievable. It's hard for me to fathom what our families do for us, and obviously when we made a push on Friday, the final day, the guys were excited about it, the coaches were excited about it, the parents were excited about it. There's a level of enthusiasm and excitement around the guys that's palpable, and when Dolphin Dash comes around, and we are spoiled rotten to have great families and the great alums that continue to give back to our guys.
As we wrap things up here, you've mentioned how you can take all these encouraging things from these games we've been playing, and is there a message to the guys you want to get out there, or a message you've given the guys that you want the supporters to hear about keeping your head up in those moments and learning from these things, and maybe a message to the supporters like, hey, look how far we've come. I mean, we talked about it a couple episodes ago, just the difference in this program over the years and how far we've come to be competitive in these games.
Yeah, I think the cool part is that people aren't happy right now, and I think if they were, that means we haven't come as far as we hoped. And I think there are expectations of our guys to win these games, and we haven't done that yet. And if we're going to beat Navy, we need a bunch of people that expect us to beat Navy. And I do believe that standard of expectation is a good thing, that people are disappointed about the result. And I think our guys feel that. I don't think there's a feeling of, oh, well, it's just another game. It was a genuine disappointment to go up 5-1, to be tied at halftime, to handle ourselves the way we did in the third quarter. There's a level of frustration, and we talked about it a lot in our team meeting yesterday. The consistency of practice is really important for our guys. How we show up every day. We practiced at 6 a.m. this morning, and it was maybe one of our best practices of the year. But that wasn't because it was at 6 a.m. It wasn't because it was Monday. It was because they were frustrated with how Sunday went. And that was cool to see. I think that was our first step. Now can we be great on Tuesday? We talked a lot about being championship caliber, and championship caliber requires consistency. And that'll be a good challenge for us come tomorrow afternoon.
It's exciting, Coach. We're all looking forward to it. Excited to see how things go out in Utah, and of course, safe travels.
Appreciate
and,
that.
We'll catch up with you next week. All right.
I look forward to it. Thanks,
And
Matt.
another episode of In the Crease podcast presented by Baptist Health. Thanks, Coach.
Thanks.